very swiftly, whether things in the draft are going to get reevaluated for Hanwha.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening here as Jace is the first champion banned away here by Hanwha Life, despite having Thal on their team and first pick available. So Gen G now banning away the Zoe might be signifying that they want to go the Lissandra avenue yet again.
They also might just think that Lava's champion pool is not big enough for him to be a relevant threat here, right? So they also might think that if they ban away the Zoe, they ban away the LeBlanc, they ban away his highest performing champions, then they can really put a dent into what Hanwha Life can throw at them. They are going to take a step away from that, though, theoretically, as the Vladimir ban is certainly against Tal rather than Lava, even though it can be flexed.
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, we just got to see yesterday Syndra versus the Lissandra and what can actually happen when you're piloting the matchup correctly. So far now, Hanwha Life banning away the Rise, and maybe now they're the ones signifying that they want to get their hands on the Press Q champion.
There we go, though. This
away.
is the Kill Gen G ban.
Fly gulps.
Yeah, that is the Kill Gen G ban. Look at his face.
His teeth. He's like, wait a minute.
Wait a
you told me I was gonna get Lissandra.
But guys, I'm really good at a champion. Fortunately, that's not quite enough because there are a lot of bans to come in here. As there's a LeBlanc ban, an understandable one. Lava's best performing champion so far. He's only been allowed to play it a couple of different times, and Lava is also another one of these Lissandra players, so that ban from Hanwha is going to gimp him just a little bit. The Silas is going to be first picked as I get a very worried look from LS.
Don't give this away.
Yeah, as he stares over me in apprehension as to what is going to happen in the next couple.
12. And some of those victories have been...
Ezreal is available.
Yeah. So we're just going to give away Ezreal yet again. And now it's going to be red side Tahm Kench Ezreal, which does mean that if you want to draft entirely top-centric, you are allowed the freedom to do so. However, Talia being hovered, now swapped over to Aatrox. And Lulu. No.
Peanut is
like
scaring us a little bit. He's we're not ready for this. Found the Tahm Kench button, and that's what we want to lock in. Good. Oh man, they didn't need to put us through that turmoil for 20 seconds. But the Ezreal Tahm Kench, the understandable lock-in here for Gen G, and this is a large win button for them. But normally, they don't get this bottom lane and the Lissandra.
Yeah.
Normally, it's either you ban away the power pick for Fly, or you ban away the power bottom duo for Gen G, which is the Ezreal Tahm Kench. So now, Hanwha, what do they have to fight back? And a Freljordian bottom lane could certainly work here, as Ashe Braum would be able to get some things done. Braum fantastic into the Tahm Kench, which is why we see it locked in so quickly.
We'll have to see what ADC ends up accompanying this here.
This could be an interesting one.
A little bit surprised not to see Callista Galio potentially come out, especially when you already have the Silas. But instead, it looks like it will be Braum and Kai'Sa. And now, if you are at Gen G, with so many mid laners having already been banned away, you can just pick a mid laner here. Maybe we'll see Aurelion Sol actually picked, and then more target bans focused away. Alternatively, you could get Syndra, in which case she would be queen of the mid lane.
Or you can pick a jungler and pinch the jungle pool for Bono.
Do that, except the jungle pool's pretty wide open.
Yeah, Bono doesn't exactly have the largest effective champion pool, though, because with the Lee Sin locked in, he's got 4 games on that one. He's got 4 games on the Xin Zhao, despite a pretty pitiful win rate. And then everything else is on Olaf. He's got 9 games on the Olaf, as that's going to be the first ban, obviously, here from Gen G. So they're thinking that Bono's effective champion pool is not as large as what he's been actually able to put forth on the Rift. He's played 6 unique champions so far this season, so certainly can play a lot, but at what level can he actually play them? So having a look at the win rates, things are a little bit of a worry. You got 50% win rate 1-1 on the Zac, 0 on the Rek'Sai. Now with an extra game, he was the one that debuted it, I believe, in the last couple of days in their first match of this week. So Azir going to be taken away from Fly. They're really digging deep for Fly's champion pool in recent days.
Rek'Sai now being banned away. Not the most threatening champion against what Gen G has already been drafting, especially given the fact that they are red side. A little bit of a surprising ban. Now Irelia.
Well, that is a ban against
away.
Roach, because we saw Fly play the Irelia when she was pre-nerf, and it wasn't a great time. As Karma being looked at right now. Still a flex pick, but certainly feels like something that Fly should easily be able to pilot to some priority in the mid lane.
And now Yasuo being hovered, and the Irelia pick made me think that maybe they're trying to get their hands on an Aatrox, but the Yasuo is locked in. Don't think that we will be seeing that. Instead, we're going to see a Zac pick, and I have really... No, we're not.
No, the Yorick coming in for Tal.
So now Jace is banned away, but Jax is still available.
There are a lot still available. The Fiora is also still available, which is the real scary one.
I think that Roach just needs to snap Jax here in response to the Yorick.
Do you like Jax more than you like something like a Fiora that Gen G are hovering right now? Because I also think that Cube is the Fiora player. He plays Fiora in a very interesting way, often a very sacrificial way for Gen G, but has been able to split push Gen G to victories in the past, and now it's going to be on Roach to do so.
And so we are going to have a knife fight up in top lane. Never seen the Sylas versus the Karma actually play out. Both obviously going to take teleport respectively, but the explosive extended team fighting for both of these teams is present.
I like Karma in melee matchups just in general, because you can mantra your W and just suck all the life out of him, right? So it can certainly be something that you can capitalize on, and keeping a Sylas in a position that you want him is very easy, because what happens when you hijack a Karma as Sylas? What does mantra do? Does it turn all of your abilities into Karma abilities?
Yeah. You just don't get the mantra.
Wait, no. You get the mantra when you press the mantra button, right? And you get to mantra one of Karma's abilities?
It's like Jace. You get QWE.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I think.
All right. This is another one of those times where we're like, does the Kennen ult actually stun when he's not Kennen? I don't know. Well, we'll have to all learn alongside you guys. We were linked to a video yesterday, but unfortunately, we went to bed because it was midnight when we got back home. And now we're back here again. So, unfortunately, haven't actually figured out every single Sylas interaction with these ultimates, and we're excited to learn alongside you as to what happens when you hijack the Karma, because it felt like we had a pretty good gauge on the ultimates that Sylas has been able to employ. As we have a look at the first lineup.
And we are about to jump into game number 2 here, and this is a very important game for Gen G. They need to win this, getting the 2-0, helping with the point standings. Here we go.
All right, game number 2. Can Gen G actually get the 2-0? Let's find out now. Gen G fans are some of the most amazing fans in the LCK, I think, because it doesn't matter how Gen G are doing, they're always so loud. They're always so supportive. We'll see whether they're actually going to have their dreams come true here today. I feel like Gen G fans are very similar to the KT fans of old, you know? Witnessing the KT roller coaster over and over again, but always standing true to their squad.
Oh, we might have something going on here. You know, I really don't like that suit. That color of violet, it's just not, it's not doing it for me.
No, it's not your personal
favorite. And especially if he gets eaten by Count Von Count, Tom Kench, it's just, it's not really working out.
Hey,
especially
at least
the white gloves. You think he's trying to make a fashion statement, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, the fashion statement's just the wrong kind of statement, I think. You know, statements can be both ways, and this is the wrong side of the statement. I'm with you on that one. That being said, his jacket does match the color that Tom Kench turns when he devours him.
I think they're trying to go for the synergy there.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one. However, if they're walking around in lane, I mean, it's not looking great. And having synergy once you're inside the stomach of your lane partner is not exactly a synergy that you're necessarily looking for, because you're no longer there.
I guess you just haven't watched the newest Aquaman.
I have.
Yeah, well, you had a lot of synergy with that that whale or something. That shark.
I don't know, dude. To be perfectly honest, I felt like that movie. I stopped paying attention halfway through that movie. I was like, "This is a really pretty movie. I'm gonna pay attention to the things that it's good at, you know." And that is lots of nice colors, lots of cool CGI, and zero storyline.
Okay, I like that.
I also like Jason Momoa a lot. I think he's a fantastic actor.
Same, actually.
And it felt, you know, the fact that he's in Stargate Atlantis makes a lot of sense for him being Aquaman. So I felt like, you know, things were right there.
Like that because they talk about Atlantis.
Yeah, and he lived in Atlantis, you know.
Same word.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Picking up what I'm putting down.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Let's get into the game though. Let's have a chat about how these lanes are supposed to go. As Fiora versus Yorick is one that we've seen Tile play out. Actually, it was not against this particular Fiora. It was against Noguri. And Noguri took a very long time to win the matchup, but eventually he did. As, all right, Peanut. This is the Peanut of old that we've been missing for time and time again. It is a level discrepancy not quite there yet for either side, and that's going to be the resonating strike. We almost have the Bloblets being brought out, but Lava makes the first rotation. Inspire is going to come in there. Can they actually take these Bloblets down? No, as the teleport comes in. You've got the snare to land. Safeguard gets Peanut out, but can fly. Be so lucky. Inspire, pretty good. Doesn't actually manage to land, but there we go. Stretch Armstrong comes forward, but they do have the Rift Scuttler, so Fly doesn't actually have to fall down for this one.
Yeah, and this is a really, really big win for Gen G. Peanut did a magnificent job of getting in there, interrupting the Wolf Camp, getting Bono's passive on Zac, stealing the teleport basically away from Thal up in top lane, which means that the lane now, I do believe, is pushing back into Roach. He has teleport advantage.
That is going to be a huge one, though.
Everything's just going great.
Yeah.
Right now for Gen G.
And you look at it and you're like, oh, they managed to save the Zac. This is fantastic, but this top lane is not going to go the same as the last time we saw the Yorick versus Fiora up there. And unless Bono can actually get over here and affect change towards the top side, it's going to be a really big issue, because if Fiora can get accelerated, it becomes one hell of a problem.
That's an interesting ward spot, actually, by the Fiora. I guess that what that's signifying is that Roach is going to be content with allowing the lane to come all the way up and just doesn't want Zac to sneak into the brush and try to put her down right at the exact timing that she's looking for the freeze up in top. And as we were talking about the lane setups and stuff, mid is a gentleman's agreement, and bot likewise is a gentleman's agreement. We're not likely to get any sparks flying on that side of the map. This entire game comes down to Fiora versus Yorick. So if Fiora gets really far ahead, Hanwha Life doesn't have a reliable answer to her, which is normally the case when you're up against a top Fiora. And so basically I would expect junglers to have a lot of focus around here, around level 6.
The thing that I really like is the bridging that Gen G have done with their team composition. Often I see a mid lane Fiora and I'm like, oh, this is just terrible. That being said, her mid game is fantastic. She's always had a very strong mid game. She can wave clear very well. She can help out the rest of her team. As far as 2v2s are concerned, it's great to have a Karma there with you, because you can see how much utility she brings to these skirmishes. And once Peanut hits level 6, he's going to be a powerhouse himself. And now Bono is going to plastic slingshot himself, but does decide to cancel, and he doesn't have cell division. This is a huge deal as Peanut cleans up some wards, and Gen G remain in control of this early game.
And right here, Fiora's going to end up teleporting back, but the problem is that she already has 1.5 waves pushing into Yorick, so what she can do now is try to crash this wave and then advance into Zac's blue side jungle to get intel for Gen G and locate what camps does Zac have remaining. And so in a way, Thal actually ended up winning out, because what Roach could have done is trade with Thal as the wave is crashing, take a lot of HP knowing that you're just going to teleport back as long as you don't die, and then the reinforcing minion wave is in such close proximity, you get the lock, teleport back, lane state is very different,
oh, okay. Peanut in position, exactly right timing, as Lava is going to connect an empowered W. That gets a lot of his health back. As you can see, gets the Karma abilities. He's able to use 1 round of Mantrid spells. And that is going to be that. Fly is going to get out scot-free. No flashes needed on either side. And now it looks like Cloud Drake to be started here for Gen G. Not a lot of response available here on the side of Hanwha Life Esports, playing around priority very, very nicely. As Roach going to be put in the baby cage, but dashes out. The lunge pretty good at keeping you out of trouble there.
Yeah, it is indeed, and this game is still looking relatively even. Obviously, the Infernal Drake coming up in 4.5 minutes can definitely spice things up, as both teams are wanting to be getting their hands on that. I would say that most likely Gen G a little bit more than Hanwha Life, because all of their champions are going to be able to utilize the effectiveness of it.
Yep. The thing I want to talk about is what we spoke about last time around, right? And what we said was that Gen G automatically wins, basically, at 20 minutes in if they're even or within 2,000 gold of Hanwha Life. That is not going to be the case for this game. You're looking at a Zac that scales beautifully into the later stages. He's going to be more useful than Peanut is in the hyper late game, who becomes basically one kick, and if he can get that one off, then they can potentially win a fight, but stopwatches exist and it makes it very difficult to make that work. Zac, much more reliable. Kai'Sa as well. Hyper carry for the bottom side of the map this time out for Hanwha Life. It's not like the Kalista that dominates the mid game and it allows you to get these scrappy team fights working. Bono's going to fly on forward, but Fly, he's got Inspire, and this is exactly what Karma does. She never leaves the mid lane, and she can do so very safely.
Endlessly waves clears over
Even
and
as a
over.
Chalice. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. We are going full support, as I believe it will be Athene's on Holy Grail into something like an Ardent Sensor to make sure that Ruler is as powerful as possible.
And I definitely do like that itemization on the side for Karma. Although I wouldn't have been too against an AP Karma build, primarily because Karma is one of the only sources of primary magic damage. Yes, Ezreal does do quite a fair bit, but I think that it's highly unlikely to expect that Hanwha Life would stack magic resistance, and so in that way, maybe.
Yeah, and
Fly
also
could
I
have been
feel
able
like
to do
if
a
you're
bit.
playing around a 4-1 composition like Gen G are, you want to have as much wave clear as possible, right? So you get a Luden's Echo in order to clear up minion waves while Roach is causing a ruckus elsewhere, and Hanwha Life don't have the range to siege you. In fact, range is at a premium here for Hanwha Life. If they're in a siege scenario where they're trying to force things, it's not great. They do have a lot of great dive. Bono can certainly get in there as the Zac and cause problems, but 5v4 is still going to be a problem here for Hanwha Life, so I still really do like the ability for a Karma to stop any of that dive potential by just removing minion waves from the equation. Tal going to lose out on that trade exponentially, and that means the Peanut not going to be able to have that counter gank opportunity because Tal just can't even utilize Bono there.
Now Rift Herald is coming up. Wouldn't be too surprised to just see Peanut come over to it right away, Q over the wall, and start the Herald. There you go. All right.
There we go. Things working out. I might actually have a commentator sitting next to me for the majority of the broadcast, and I'm very excited about that. Things actually going right here, and Gen G getting things right beautifully in this earlier stages of the game. Okay, so 1,000 gold is going to be the lead just from lanes working out better, but Bono is going to stop that Rift Herald from being taken.
Do you think that that is Scuttle Crab Rift Herald's offspring? They do seem to have a little bit of similarity. Yeah, the coloring's a little bit different, but we see that in some species.
Okay.
In the animal kingdom.
So can we call Shelly like Scuttle Mama from now on?
Sure. I can get behind that.
You can get behind that?
What's Shelly's last name?
Ooh.
That hasn't been thought about.
That's true. All right, so we've got a dub, a last name for Shelly, and then we can name the Rift Scuttler.
Yeah.
You got any ideas?
I'm thinking.
I've thought of 4 different names. None of them are appropriate. It's not okay. They can just be misconstrued very easily, you know? Oh, man.
Well, not quite sure. I'll have to get back to you. Maybe,
Yeah, okay.
Maybe in the
We'll have
second
a bit of a brainstorm. We've got to make sure that we. You know how in radio shows they're always telling you what's coming up, just to make sure you keep listening. Well, we're going to be giving you Shelly's last name. Just stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen,
That's the highlight.
And we'll get you there.
We got quite a lot of names on the Rift. We got Agatha and Bertha. So that's the left Gromp and the right Gromp.
Right, got it, got it.
All right. Then we have Julia and Julian.
Yes, we do, for maidens on opposite sides of the map.
Exactly.
Yeah. If Yorick is versus Silas, not for any blind pick, because unfortunately we don't have that anymore. What else do we have? We have all of our wards that we've named over on the Pub Smithy side of things.
Turrets are named Brick.
That's true. That's true. And I was about to say the Brick isn't a name, and then I remembered Anchorman is a thing. So, of course, Brick is an actual name. Proper noun, everyone.
Brick Tower. That is his name.
Yep.
And don't you disagree with it?
As Hanwha Life have started off this Infernal Drake, Gen G in position to try and stop this one. As you can see, both top laners are ready for a teleport. The Maiden is available. And actually, Hanwha Life, if there is a teleport to come out from Roach, if you get second teleport on the Yorick, you can leave your Maiden in the lane and actually get a lot of value out of that pickup. Not going to be something that they can actually capitalize on just yet, as Hanwha have not pulled the trigger. Peanut still waiting in the wings, wanting to pick up this Rift Scuttler, which he should be able to gather for himself some valuable, immovable intel here for Gen G.
And I think that right now what's really happening here
the anti-Kench maneuver here as Bono's looking for a kidnap. Connects the dots and is able to get them back forward. First Blood goes over to Sungyun and should be able to make it another one. Double kill on the bottom side of the map. And Peanut should be able to get himself a Rift Herald, but that is not going to stem this bleeding.
Yeah, and this is a really, really powerful turn of events here for Hanwha Life as they just exploded the bottom half of the map wide open. They end up picking up a lot of plates down in bottom lane. They're going to get themselves the Infernal Dragon. And actually, Kaisa has stopped recall. Can Ruler be a hero?
Oh, we're going to follow the True Shot barrage. That was actually very close. The key was there with an Unbreakable anyway. That is going to be the trade, as Shelly is going to get picked up here for Gen G. Peanut, it's a good answer, but not one that is going to even things out by any means. As the blue buff has been started, Lava wants to pick that one up as come on, mate, got to stop taking that one down, and it is going to be a successful transfer. But look at this, the plates have just fallen. Gen G a little bit late on this one, but they should be able to get first turret over to Roach.
It's really interesting that they elect to use the Herald up in top lane as opposed to mid lane, and the reason that I say that is because with no objective on the map here at only 14 minutes, the laning phase is able to be extended a little bit longer. Let me talk about that in a second, though, as we see Zach come in over here. Neither party ends up flashing. And so Zach, I mean, this was a pretty cookie-cutter gank.
That being said, I mean, if flashes had been used, that wouldn't have happened, right?
Yeah.
It just would have meant a return gank to come in there. But at a pivotal moment in the game like that, where Infernal Drake was on the map, when Shelly was on the map, it's a time where you probably want to keep yourself alive for a little bit longer. So certainly a fantastic turn of events for Hanwha, but I probably would have invested some summoner spells if I was the Gen G bottom lane. Hindsight 2020, so not going to throw too much judgment forward.
What if someone's hindsight isn't 2020?
I don't know. You should probably get their hindsight vision checked. Can you do that?
How can you? Yeah. What does that even look like when your hindsight's not 2020?
Because you have one of those things that you put on the wall where the letters get smaller and smaller. Do you have that for hindsight? What's the check?
Oh man, I guess that's like when a flat earther does an experiment and it fails, and then they're like, you know what, we must have done something wrong.
Yeah. Maybe our whole fundamental view of the roundness of the planet is actually not correct.
I just watched the Flat Earth documentary yesterday on Netflix.
Yeah, you told me about it. It sounded very depressing.
I'm not quite sure that would be the word that I would use to describe it. I think that you're being very generous.
Aha. I was wondering where you were going to go with that one, but I'm definitely satisfied. As Thene's Unholy Grail is completed, you got Ravenous Hydra done for Roach. He can continue causing a ruckus, even has the Phage there just for some extra utility. Get around this lane very, very nicely, and he's happy to overextend. This is exactly what you want out of your Fiora. If she's free to draw all of this pressure towards the top side, that's when you know things are going right. As Lava turns up, he's going to try his hand. It's slowing down the Fiora push.
And the game is in a pretty stalled state right now. However, Fiora continuing to try to ramp up, has the Ravenous Hydra already completed. Going to be having
man.
the Phage as well, but the split push on the Fiora will not commence until way later
Yeah,
in
I feel
the
like
game.
you need Trinity Force and Spear of Sojourn before you really are able to dictate the pace of the matchup between the Yorick. We saw Tal even navigate this matchup very, very nicely until approximately 35 minutes into the game, like really, really late. As Hanwha, they're looking to try and knock down this top outer turret, and they should be able to do so relatively easily.
Peanut down there with Fly, trying to raise the bottom tier 1 turret, and so trading top tier 1 for bottom tier 1, not the end of the world by any means.
Yep.
As we do have Roach, I believe, pathing towards bottom. I think he wants to get
wow, and actually tempo advantage here for Gen G as well, as Void Seeker not going to land. Ruler has to play very carefully because he knows that the Kai'Sa did get an accelerated start. Lava going to continue pushing on here, but bottom side of the map, you've got Gen G pulling away. Pretty understandable Gen G move here, making sure that they only take as much as they can guarantee. Will it cause this wave to cause damage to the turret? The answer is basically no, as Silas is not going to stick around topside. Not going to overextend on the Hanwha side of things either, as we do have some normalcy proceeding here. Ardent Sensor done for Fly. And with a Trinity Force build coming out from Ruler, that is actually going to be a huge deal because he's going to be auto-attacking more, larger amount of attack speed, less of that reliance on just landing Qs, wants to have the passive stacked up as much as possible and weave these auto-attacks in as Sangyun going to at least avoid the W.
At this stage, though, Ocean Drake coming up in about 15 seconds as Lava steals away the ultimate from Ezreal. And one thing I do want to point out is that Lava is doing that build again.
Oh, yeah.
That is not the best for going later on into the game. Yeah. I'm a sad panda.
Yeah, the Rod of Ages into the Spirit Visage and the Iceborne Gauntlet would be the correct answer here, as Sangyun is going to at least finally take down the Grom. Which one's that?
That is Agatha.
Agatha.
Yeah, left to right.
All
A-B.
right. All right.
Okay.
Agatha and Bertha.
Yes.
Beautiful names. Beautiful names. As Lava's going to move on over. Looks like the blue buff should be taken here by the Silas. As some normalcy has hit the Rift, and 1,000 gold is certainly nothing to write home about. But as this game progresses, that Infernal Drake is going to look way better than the Cloud Drake that's circling the Gen G members. Peanut at least is going to be able to get around his jungle faster, but that is not something that you want in these straight-up fights that Hanwha are going to be going for. They're going to be piling in, they're going to try and jump on you and crush you. And it doesn't matter how much movement speed you've got, because Elastic Slingshot is going to be faster than that, guys. That's just how that one works.
Well, Hanwha Life picking up the Ocean Drake here. Not going to be the biggest of victories, and I only say that because it won't really come online again until and if Hanwha Life does end up having Baron, and even then, it is still quite difficult to fully get the bang from it unless you end up having 2 to 3 of them.
Yep. Ruler wanted to go back and grab himself a Trinity Force, but first he's going to pick up this Brambleback. Peanut started that one off for him. Vision available on the Baron buff here for the red side of the map generally is something that we're going to see, and it's control for Gen G topside for the moment. But we're yet to transition over there on the Hanwha Life side because we're only 30 seconds after the Baron has spawned. And bottom of the map is where Roach is going to start his onslaught towards the enemy base. And this is where, can Gen G play around a split pusher is going to be our question.
Oh, Fiora still not yet at that mode yet. You can see that she's still waiting on just one more item in order to complete into the Trinity Force.
Man, Gen G just playing the most Gen G competition. It's like they've discovered that 2019's too hard, the meta's too hard, we're going to go back to the meta that we knew. And that was playing around a utility mid laner, having Cube at the time on something that could really cause pressure in a side lane, like the Gnar that he was famous for, but also able to get into a team fight. And with Fiora backed by a Karma that has so much utility that he has at the moment, Fiora can actually get things done in a team fight potentially. There's the hijacking of the kick. We'll see whether this siege is actually going to work out. As Fiora is actually going to rotate around, the Maiden is going to be dealt with. That's going to be 50 gold delivered over to Gen G. 50% of the outer turret health bar is going to remain. Now, 2 items are completed. for Roach. It feels like a really slow 1, 2, 3 go at the start of a race. You got first item, second item, that's where you press your button. That's when you start to get your turbo boost.
Okay.
Yeah. You wait for a bit after 2, and then 1, that's when you're off. That's when you're going. And if you're playing Mario Kart, you got the little fire coming out from behind your cart or your motorbike, depending on which game you're playing.
What character did you pick in Mario Kart?
Daisy. I was a stats abuser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, if I was playing N64 or SNES, it would either be Toad or Yoshi. Because, again, I'm a stats abuser.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. I can get behind that.
Nice. I also really like Funky Kong, but again, stats were great. So, there we go. It's one of those guys. Came down to Pokemon as well. I was having this conversation with Scarizard earlier in the week about his favorite Pokemon because he posted all his favorite Pokemon in all of the different types. My personal favorite is Flygon because I think he's adorable. I just really like Flygon.
What? It looks like a hairless flying squirrel.
Yeah, it's like a dragonfly. I think it's cute.
Okay.
Yeah. As now, we're going to get a kickback on Roach, but he's got a lunge. He's going to be fine. But this time the siege is coming out on Gen G's side, and they're also unable to make things work. True Shot Barrage stops Sungyun's back. That might be important. Hanwha are just looking to try and get vision control around their area of the map.
Yeah, not too much actually going on here. As well, maybe Fly will. Never mind. We're having the lull state.
We are having
now bounced back and forth. So hold on, let me just break this down. Nothing's going to happen for the next minute and a half. Hanwha Life will proceed to the Cloud Drake. Gen G may or may not contest them, depending on how they're feeling at that point in time.
I'm gonna throw out a spoiler alert and say that they're not going to.
Okay. Pure will continue to attempt to shove bottom. We're going to wait for red buff to come up. Songyun will consume that. And now let's get back to talking about the real important things.
All right, so back to Pokemon.
Back to Pokemon, yeah.
My point was that Scarizard had a tweet where he had all of his favorite Pokemon as per type, and like one of them was Muck. They had one of them was Electrode, and I'm like, dude, these are some really weird choices.
Yeah.
But I respected it so much, right? Because I was like a real meta slave when it came to playing Pokemon. So like, I look at the Dragon position, and I'm like, why aren't you picking Garchomp or Salamence?
Right.
You know, like what is your problem right now? I mean, Dragonite's also good, but he's just not quite as overpowered as both of those choices. In either special or physical. I really did like the Bolt Beam Sub Punch variation in early Gen 6 meta, but otherwise, not exactly what you want to be talking about. So I looked at it and I was jealous. I was jealous because he was so capable of stepping away from what are just good Pokemon and deciding instead to go for the less represented and things that he found cool. So that's what I'm going to try in Sword and Shield when it comes out. That's my decision. I'm going to try to go for the less represented Pokemon.
Can you guess what my favorite is?
I don't know. Which Pokemon would most likely be a jungler that could take Spellbook? This is really hard. Because the summoner spells just don't exist in Pokemon, right? So this is really difficult for me. I'm not sure.
Throw you a bone here.
All right, yeah, give me a
Gengar.
Oh, it's just that's not a bone. It's just giving me the answer.
Yeah.
All right, I wouldn't have guessed Gengar actually. Why Gengar?
I feel
he's got like the best Gen 1 speed stat in the game.
I think he's adorable.
Oh yeah.
And I believe I read somewhere once, although maybe the lore's like updated or something, that he's misunderstood.
Oh yeah.
He plays tricks on you because he wants friends, but he scares everyone.
That's adorable.
But maybe actually he's actually evil now. I don't really know. But White Gengar looks amazing. Mega Gengar.
Yeah. Mega Gengar is also.
Gengar's just a badass.
Yeah.
If he was real, he's very fluffy. You would hug him.
Yep.
And
I agree.
He would always be there for you. You know that.
But the problem was you needed to have friends in order to get him into games. When I was really young, a lot of my friends were playing football instead of playing Pokemon.
I don't have friends anyway. I play Karthus.
Oh, did you just buy 2 Game Boys and trade between yourself in order to get your Gengar? That's what I did too. Oh, solidarity, dude. Don't worry. In the next games, if there are Pokemon that need to be traded,
you get
I
both.
am here for you.
I am
here for you.
I'm definitely buying a Switch for the next...
Oh, yeah. I've already got one. Don't worry. I'm sorted.
Okay.
I'm set. And thankfully, Breath of the Wild was an incredible game, so that Switch buy was not anything that I regretted in this lead-up towards getting the new generation of Pokemon, which is very exciting. So we're going to stop advertising Nintendo games and go back to this League of Legends match on your screen. But LS, as he so eloquently explained to you, nothing was going to happen until now as Bono dives his way forward. True Shot Barrage is going to be picked up and then immediately thrown out by Ruler.
And we're back to it. So, let me... Let me give you the synopsis once
All right,
more.
yeah, let's go.
So for the next 2 minutes or so, they will fight over Vision on the left-hand side. The top wave will eventually be eaten by one of the carries on Hanwha Life, which is happening right now. Check onto the Baron's going to occur. Lee Sin will go and eat the Golems. Fiora may make her way down to the Gromp and then the Scuttle Cab. Eat that, push 2 waves bottom, recall again. Gentleman's Agreement will take place in mid lane for a little bit, maybe a minute or 2.
Okay, until the control wards wear out, and then that battle for Vision.
See?
Who can get the right reset, and then things are going to be okay. As Ruler
you're
might
learning.
be bucking the trend. I am learning. I am slowly but surely. We're getting there.
There we go.
That being said, I mean, now you're going to have to go for a reset very early, as Bono's well and truly out of his health bar. Now Genji are going to have to move on back in. Is the Warmog's armor complete? And yes, it is. So that means next chunk out on the Zac is going to mean absolutely nothing.
Yep. And Lee Sin messing with the predictions here as he did not consume the Golems. But some people might be wondering, well, why are they doing this? They should be looking to do something. And you're very right. There's actually very specific things that could be done involving minion lane manipulation. But we don't see that in the LCK. Actually, we just don't see it in regions in general. And so this is what the lull state ends up devolving into, which is this, you push mid, I push mid, you push mid, I push mid, I take turret, you take turret.
Well, at the moment, it's up to the U-take turret, and we'll see whether the U-take turret actually exists here, as Ruler chucks down a control ward, and now Hanwha, with all of this extra map control they get by taking out the outer turret in the mid lane, that's going to be it. Decision they can make is Roach is going to get a lot of value out of that riposte, and Flashes actually, he's looking to chase after Tal, but he can't tank this turret, as if that Morning Mist landed, that's so much damage coming in, and there we go, Bono's able to finish him off, and Roach bit off more than he could chew. That flash after the Yorick, that was the whoopsie. That was the whoopsie moment.
That was absolutely unnecessary.
And do you know what it was? It was Roach looking at his items, and he had that speed boost, the Mario Kart speed boost, and then he's on Rainbow Road. He just goes straight off the edge. He's going
really
too fast, misses the turn.
Oh, no.
And now we've got a kidnap. Now we've got a very dead Karma, and we've got Genji falling apart.
Now, Fiora does have teleport available, so we'll have to see if Hanwha Life can actually repel the Zac and guarantee that he can't enter the Lee Sin.
Peanut is going to get kicked back by Lava. Really nicely done to get the Lee Sin out of the pit. That's a 100% chance of gathering themselves the Baron buff. That is some beautiful play around what was some massive lulls for the first 30 minutes of this game. And now this Fiora split push win condition looks further and further away from being successful.
And Roach just single-handedly threw the entire game with that. He already had gotten the flash from Thal, and it was reaching a point where Yorick wouldn't be able to contend with her anymore. And we take a quick look at it right here.
Yeah, wait. And
the flash,
that's the whoopsie.
Yeah, that's the whoopsie. Doesn't end up getting the vital. And even if you make the argument that in a different world he gets the kill on Yorick, congratulations. You get the bottom tier 2 turret. Slow clap.
Yeah, precisely. And that's what your job is. That's what you're supposed to do, right? In that scenario, Ruler is gearing up towards what could be a Blade of the Ruin King, or, of course, the Hextech Gunblade that the Ezreals have decided to go for. I see no Sork shoes on this Ezreal, so probably more like a Blade of the Ruin King. But Sangyun, he's on 3.5 items. He's feeling peachy. On the Hyper Carry himself, as Ruler gets tagged up, but isn't going to be too worried here. Pretty versatile is the Ezreal, so at least now we'll be able to try and repel some of these minions. There is a Rabbidan's Death Cap on Fly, so he does have a lot of minion damage in this build. No penetration whatsoever. He's all about utility. And now that all of that AP has been built up, these Mantra Qs are going to help out. But with the Baron buff running, it's not going to be enough to save these turrets.
Right. Top tier 2 now going to go down here in just a second.
And these rotations are just so hard, right? Because you can see Bono, he's there, he does have his sweeper, he can stay out of vision. And Hanwha just going to move on forward. It's going to be pings down on the bottom inner turret, but 4 versus 5. I just feel like the dive opportunity is going to be too relevant here as Ruler picks up a big shield from the Inspire, but look at that. Base is broken on the top side of the map. Might also be broken in the mid lane as well as Tal gets that Dark Procession down and is able to stop Peanut from stopping that one. So 2 inhibitors for an inner turret bottom lane. I don't think I need to do the math for you guys. That is a bad news story for Gen G.
And they had already decided they could not defend. It's not worth bringing Roach back because it would end up being the same result, except maybe some casualties added in. So even though it's not the best trade, Gen G did try to make the most out of the situation that was handed to them. And now the 1 lane remaining will be the one that they are going to barrel down, as super minions will be coming in from top and middle lane. And we're about to have a Lord of the Rings, except there's no Gandalf in this one.
Yeah, he's not.
He's sleeping.
Yep. On the first light of the 3rd day. Well, we're on the 2nd day. He's not here yet. Unfortunately, Gandalf not going to be coming in with his cavalcade of men of Gondor, or whoever he came with. Did he grab some? Oh, no, he grabbed Eomer, didn't he? He headed on over and helped out. He said, yeah, sorry about your uncle there. He was just being a bit of a jerk. He got possessed. So come back and help us out. And he's like, all right. Just to give you the synopsis on what happens in the 2 towers, is that's going to be base broken bottom side of the map as well. It's Indo Songyun. He gets completely impatient, but it pays off as he destroys Ruler. Kidnap successful. Both mid laner and AD carry have been removed as Peanut gets a cute kick, but it's only that. It's only cute as they have to watch these Nexus turrets fall. We're going to game number 3 as Hanwha Life. A beautiful redemption match. After Gen G fell apart, bottom side of the map, we can tell the time. We can tell the exact moment when it all went wrong and all the pieces of the puzzle just fell out for Gen G.
Yeah, there were 2 really key decisive moments inside of this game. The first one happened in bottom lane, where Bono was able to go bottom, ult the bottom lane of Gen G, and then pick up the kills there, convert it into an Infernal Drake plate capture, yada yada yada. And then the second time was when Roach decided to try to flash for a kill onto Tal down in bottom, ends up handing away the Baron at that. And so now, if we're thinking about who's the MVP of the game, Bono got the initial Infernal thing started. He also got the shutdown onto Roach later, so it's most likely going to be him.
Yeah,
but
if I'm
throwing a little bit of salt, Roach is the MVP of this game. Hanwha Life couldn't have done it without him.
Mm-hmm. And also, you know, Bono got that kill onto Roach on that bottom side of the map as well, so it was also involved in the pickup of the Fiora, which she got to 3 items, and then, honestly, she threw them on the floor and said, I'm going home. It was not exactly what you wanted to see out of Roach. He played out the rest of the game very nicely, though, and I felt the Fiora win condition was certainly there. It's not like this was a Gen G that rolled over and died. The bottom lane gank was also fantastic from Bono to set Songyun up to win the game, so I think you're exactly right. Bono deserves this MVP, most definitely. And I just liked that, yes, there was a lull in the mid-game. Yeah. Yes, we were talking about things like, you know, Lord of the Rings and Pokemon for a lot of it, but this game was not a game that was inherently lost by Gen G making fatal mistakes. They made one mistake. Their top laner overextended trying to go for a kill. But this was still a really nice game of League of Legends on both sides. So going to Game 3, it's exciting.
Yeah, this was a game of chess that was going really long. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, some guy forgot to move his pawn. He got backdoor mated.
Yeah.
That's actually what just happened in this game. It was looking like it was going to, you know, be a long, nice game. We're going to have a lot of moves, and then, whoops.
Yeah, we were going to be here all night. We'd planned everything to make sure that we could get all of this chess in, but unfortunately, you get halfway through and things go belly up. But, you know, these things happen. And so I actually really liked what we saw out of Gen G. I thought that Fly was actually serviceable on the Karma in the mid lane. I hate the Karma pickup just in general a lot of the time, but I understood what it could actually do if you move into a late game scenario. And even if you've got Roach in the side lane, if he teleports into a team fight, gets himself an Ardent Sensor buff, then things can certainly be huge moving on forward. We unfortunately do not have any stats for this game, which means you're just going to have to hold on until game number 3 before we see any stats of any kind And that means, guys, that we are going to be going to a short break. So when we get back, the deciding match between Gen G and Hanwha Live.